What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Stocks by the Numbers, and I just wanted to take a quick look here at Meta, META, formerly known as Facebook, because I know a lot of people keep an eye on this company, and people are always talking about it, and they've been growing over the years, consistently increasing revenue and whatnot. So let's take a look here. I know they got beat up recently. We pull up like a 1-year chart here. As you can see, was trading well over $300 a share. Took a big chunk down and has been down channeling basically since then. If we switch over here to TradingView, you can see this is like a 1-year chart. Say a 1-year chart, we move it over. We're kind of in like a descending wedge here, and we have earnings coming up. If you notice with the sell-off here, it seems like a lot of these brand name companies have pulled back, and they're all forming some sort of pattern. Inverted head and shoulders, descending wedge, and they're all basically setting themselves up for like the next earnings quarter release to try to have like that bullish breakout here. So you could potentially see a pop here, maybe by the end of the day if it closes above this wedge, or what's today? Tuesday. So even if we roll into a little later in the week, Thursday, Friday, if this does have the breakout, it will be bullish, and they will probably rise this up into earnings. Earnings coming up July 27th. So what is that, like next Wednesday? So you definitely have a good short-term play here if you did want to roll the dice and potentially step into some calls, maybe like a month out or something. But remember, it is all going to depend on these earnings plays. I mean, if you really want to play short-term, if it does pop out of this wedge here, and you can catch a little jump up into like the 180s, possibly even like 190 here, getting back to some sort of support resistance. You could potentially make some decent money here short term. But at the same time, if it doesn't have that bullish confirmation close here, then it's probably going to bounce off this trend line and start to pull back into the mid 160s and potentially even lower down here, back to 155 towards this bottom trend line. But we are basically seeing very similar patterns with a lot of these companies. Like I said before, you have these sell-offs, and they set up these technical patterns, and then people take it from there. But this is Stocks by the Numbers, so let's look at the numbers real quick. Decent volume today here. We're looking at a market cap of a touch under $500 billion, 475 billion. PE at about 12.5. That's low for the industry average, especially for tech companies, as we discussed. You can see PEs 20, 30. I know Amazon has like a 50 PE. So, it depends on the company, depends on the growth also. Very solid EPS here, over $13 a share. And, if we look over here, decent EPSs, and more importantly, this consistent, steady revenue growth, right? That's what we talk about. That's what we look for when we look for a long-term investment. Now, me personally, I really don't like Facebook. I don't see the glitz and glamour behind the company. I know a lot of other people, 3, 4, 6, 8 hours a day, they're just on Facebook. They're replying to posts. They're checking up, seeing what their friends are doing. They're looking at pictures. I understand. I get it. You want to keep in touch. You want to see what everyone else is doing. It's a very interesting tool. What blows my mind is that we've had websites and tools like this years ago, right? But Facebook is the one that took off, that everyone wants to be a part of. But either which way, consistent revenue growth here. This is year over year. Look at this, starting at a 40 billion, climbing to 55, 70, 85, almost 120 billion in 2021. We switch over to the quarters. We had steady rise here for these 4 quarters, and this pulled back to a little below 28 billion, which they haven't been since Q1 of last year. So it looks like Q1, as you can see, might be the softest quarter for the year for a company like Facebook. Now, they're estimating, what I saw here, look, estimating 28.95 billion. And if we go back the last couple of quarters, they came in a little light here last quarter, missed by about, let's say, a touch below 400 million. We come down here, missed slightly on the EPS side, but look at the revenue reported. Brought in over 33.5 billion for the quarter. And we switch over here, slight miss here, about half a billion. However, they brought in 29 billion for the quarter. And we come back here, this is July, same time last year, and they brought in almost 29.1 billion, coming in, we'll say about 4.5% surprise above the estimates. So, this time last year, 29 billion, and then they're coming through with another 29 billion and 33.5 billion. Again, light Q1 here, just like they had last year. But more importantly here, this 28.95, in my opinion, I think they're going to beat on that revenue number. I actually think that's kind of low. I almost feel like these analysts are helping them out. Why would you do 28.985 billion? Right? In my eyes, excuse me, in my eyes, that just doesn't make sense. If we look at the last couple of quarters that we just looked at, and we looked at the revenue that they brought in, you would think this would be at least like 29.5 or like 30 and a quarter, even 31 billion potentially, right? Because it's supposed to be more than this time last year. So, I don't know. But the EPS, 260 and, 272, 3 and change. This time last year, 361. So you see, if we look at these numbers compared to the same quarter last year and even the few previous quarters before this one, it does seem like this might be a little bit of a layup for Facebook here. So if everything goes according to plan, if you're a holder or if you're thinking about getting in, again, short term, you do have the potential to break out of, looks like a descending wedge here. You do have the potential to break out, looking for some confirmation today at the close, or maybe even tomorrow or Thursday, because you want that close out and above this trend line so that you can see further growth. But going into this earnings, again, I don't really follow Facebook. I don't use it. So I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this video, you might be a little bit more of an active user with a service like Facebook. So you might be able to give me a little bit more insight as to how you feel about their earnings and their revenue coming in. But based on the numbers that, these analysts are estimating here, it seems low. So it seems like they're kind of like helping it set up to like prepare to break out of this descending wedge and then beat earnings and, start climbing back up towards that 200 range. And obviously over time, try to get it back up to that 300 range and fill this big gap here that we had back in beginning of February. So just wanted to give you a quick take here on Facebook, but we switch over just annually real quick. They brought in about 118 billion in 2021. They're trading at 476 billion. So that's about 4 times. So they're trading, 4 times total revenue from 2021 and 2022, 28 billion, and they're estimating about 29 billion, so that'll be what? That'll be like 57 billion, and if we hypothetically double that, then we're up to 114 billion. So yeah, it might be about just in line with 2021. And, actually, that's what you don't want to see, right? Because then the reports are probably going to come out and say, oh, revenue has plateaued. They love that word, plateaued. And, we've hit the high here, they're about, maybe 120 billion if they have a good year, but that might be the most that they have. And, the ride might be over, and now you might start seeing declines over the next couple of years. But, obviously we're getting ahead of ourselves, but just wanted to check out those numbers. Again, to go over, market cap trading about 4 times total revenue of 2021, and we'll see what this quarter plays out to give us a little bit of a broader picture here moving forward into 2022. However, again, PE at 12.5 is a little bit low because they do have a healthy revenue stream here, as you can tell by the EPS, very solid EPS and decent EPS beats over the last couple of quarters. So long term, you could position yourself as a buyer here based on both technical and fundamental analysis. However, we did look at a lot of other companies that weren't trading 4 times total revenue when they should be. So, kind of a mixed bag. They can in the short term bring this down to the bottom of this range here and then potentially wait for it to break out based on these earnings numbers. Or, as you see up here, markets are absolutely raging today. NASDAQ up almost 3%, S&P 2.5%, NASDAQ solid 2% jump. So we could see a late day rally. Right now I'm making the video, as you can tell here, down here it's 3:05, so we still have a little less than an hour left in the trading session. So we could potentially see just another leg higher in a lot of these names, and you could have this close above this wedge and really indicate a bullish signal. And as we've seen with a lot of companies, you know, they kind of like to rise them up and bring them up going into earnings in anticipation of a positive report. So just a couple of things for you guys to digest here with Meta, formerly known as Facebook, because I know a lot of people keep an eye on it. It's on watch list, and a lot of people try to play it. So, you know, if in the long term this company does continue to do the business like they've been doing, as we see over the years, slow and steady, stable growth, also increasing their net income, their net income off of that revenue. You know, look at that profit margin there, almost 33.5%. That's very solid. That is very solid for a company of this size. So again, personally, not a big fan of Facebook, not a big user of Facebook, but like we always say, men lie, women lie, numbers do not lie. So keep an eye on Facebook. This one might turn out to be a winner here in the next couple of weeks, especially with earnings coming up next Wednesday. So once again, this is Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you guys for stopping by. Just like everyone on YouTube says, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Helps out the algorithm, brings a couple of more people into the community, get more eyes on the videos. I'd really appreciate that. And of course, hit the subscribe button if you like the content I'm putting out. Or let me know in the comment section below if you don't like the content I'm putting out. Maybe you want me to change something up, talk about something else. Not a problem. I welcome all viewpoints, all advice, all critiques. But like I always say, moving forward, I know the markets are a little rocky. Again, very solid day today. But moving forward, I wish everyone success. I hope everyone makes a couple of dollars. Stay sharp out there. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for stopping by.